The luxury car purred to a stop in front of the dusty roadside tea stall. It was the kind of place people barely noticed. A wooden bench, chipped cups, and a flickering bulb hanging by a wire. But today, it had an unexpected visitor. Karan stepped out of his black Mercedes, dressed in a suit that cost more than the monthly income of everyone on that street combined. He looked around, confused but curious. He'd been driving through the old town where he grew up, nostalgic for the days before boardrooms and bank statements. He ordered a tea, sipping it slowly while taking in the surroundings. Something tugged at him. The flavor, the smell, the dusty breeze. It all felt familiar, almost hauntingly so. That's when he saw her. A young woman, around his age, perhaps a little older, was cleaning tables nearby. She moved quickly, focused, her clothes simple but neat. Her face was tired but kind. And her eyes, there was something in her eyes that made Karan freeze mid-sip. She looked exactly like someone he hadn't seen in over 20 years. He couldn't stop staring. Finally, he stood and walked toward her, hesitant, heart racing for reasons he couldn't explain. "Excuse me," he said softly. "I don't mean to startle you, but you look like someone I once knew. You look like my sister." She paused, gripping the edge of the table she was cleaning. For a long moment, she didn't respond. Then slowly, she turned to face him fully. Her eyes welled up, her lips trembled, and when she spoke, it was barely a whisper. "I was your sister." Karan's cup slipped from his hand and shattered on the pavement. Karan stumbled back a step, his mind spinning. What? What do you mean? My sister died in the fire, 22 years ago. That's what they told me. That's what—" The woman stepped closer, her hands trembling. "They were wrong. I didn't die." Her voice cracked as tears slid down her cheeks. "My name is Asha. I was just 7 when the fire broke out. I remember the smoke, the screams, and then the silence. I woke up in a hospital 2 days later, alone, burnt, bruised, scared. They said no one came looking for me. They sent me to a shelter." Karan shook his head slowly, the world around him blurring. "No. They said they couldn't find your body, but I was a child too. I believed what they told me." "I believed the same," Asha whispered, "that everyone had died, that I had no one, so I grew up thinking I was truly alone." She smiled faintly through the tears. "Until I saw your face on a magazine cover last year. The features had changed, but the eyes were still the same. I kept it. I prayed. I hoped someday I'd find you." Karan was speechless, eyes locked with hers. Memories came crashing back, of a little girl with pigtails, chasing butterflies in the garden, singing songs their mother used to hum, of bedtime stories and shared secrets under the covers. "But how? Why didn't you try to reach me?" he finally asked. "I didn't know how," she said, "and I was afraid that even if I found you, you might not want me anymore, that I was just a ghost from your past." Karan's voice broke. "You were never a ghost. You were the part of my heart that's been missing all these years." And then, without hesitation, he stepped forward and wrapped her in a trembling embrace. Asha clung to him as if she were 7 again, afraid of losing him all over. For the first time in decades, Karan felt complete. The cafe had grown quiet again, but this time for a different reason. A few customers nearby had noticed the emotional reunion and were respectfully keeping their distance. The waitress who had once blended into the background was now at the center of a story too powerful to ignore. Karan gently led Asha to a corner booth, both of them still in shock, wiping their eyes between sentences. "You have no idea what it's been like," Karan said, his voice raw. "I built everything, my business, my wealth, trying to fill a void I didn't understand. I thought it was ambition, But it was grief. For you. Asha smiled softly. And I spent every day convincing myself that I didn't need anyone, that I was strong enough on my own. But I was always waiting for something. Someone. Karan looked at her hands. Rough, worn from years of work. You've been through so much, but you survived. You're still here. So are you, she replied, placing her hand over his. And maybe that means something? Karan nodded slowly. It does, and I'm not going to lose you again. Just then, the cafe manager peeked out, unsure whether to interrupt. Asha stood up and waved gently. It's okay, she said. I'll explain everything later. Karan rose too. Not just explain. I want to do more than that. He turned to Asha. Come with me. Today, right now. You don't belong cleaning tables, you never did. You belong where you can be seen, heard, loved. She hesitated. Karan, this is my job. I can't just leave. I'm not asking you to quit, he said softly. I'm asking you to come home. The words hung in the air like a prayer. Asha blinked, overwhelmed. I don't know what to say. Say yes, Karan whispered. Let's start over, as brother and sister. As a family, a moment passed, then another, and finally, through a choked breath, she nodded. Yes, Asha stood beside Karan, hand in hand, as they walked out of the cafe where she had spent years hiding in plain sight. The air outside felt different, lighter, warmer, as if the world itself had shifted in response to their reunion. Karan had arranged a car waiting outside. He opened the door for her like a gentleman, not because she was fragile, but because he now saw her for who she truly was. Strong, selfless, and worth every ounce of respect. The ride was quiet at first, both of them lost in memories of a shared childhood. Birthday songs sung under dim lights, rainy evenings where Asha held his hand during thunderstorms, and the day she vanished without a trace. Each moment returning like waves washing over a long-forgotten shore. They pulled up to a gated estate, Karan's home. As the doors opened, Asha gasped. The mansion was vast, but it wasn't the size that made her tremble. It was the garden. In the middle stood a small mango tree, the very one they had planted as children in their old home. He had dug it out and brought it with him when he left, a silent tribute to his sister. I watered it every week, Karan said softly, even when I didn't know if you were alive. Tears streamed down Asha's face. Inside, Karan introduced her to his wife and 2 kids, who embraced her like they had known her forever. They all sat down for dinner. A real dinner, with warmth, laughter, and no orders being barked from customers. For the first time in decades, Asha felt like she belonged. Weeks turned into months. Karan helped Asha find her footing again. He didn't just hand her money. He gave her purpose. He helped her open a small art studio, remembering how she used to sketch by candlelight. Her paintings, filled with raw emotion and beauty, soon began to sell. People didn't just buy her art, they felt her story in every brushstroke. At her first gallery opening, as reporters asked her about her journey, Asha said just one line. Kindness is a thread that can stitch even the most broken parts of life back together. That night, Karan stood beside her, no longer a rich man meeting a waitress, but a brother finally reunited with the sister he thought he had lost forever. And as the cameras flashed and the room filled with applause, Asha's eyes met his, and they both knew. Some stories don't need a happy ending, because the middle can still be rewritten beautifully.